vipassana are two necessary conditions for liberation. There are several suttas in the Nikayas that says this very clearly. For example, that's the sutta about the messenger bringing the message to the lord of the city. The two messengers, this bringing the samatha and vipassana. So now, what is samatha and what is vipassana? Samatha, if you practice it, it will lead you to samadhi, the eighth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, vipassana is contemplation, and contemplation is contemplation of the four things, the four objects of sati, the body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma. So, the practice of the seventh factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, samasati, that is vipassana. That is vipassana. Okay? So, if you only practice vipassana, you're only practicing up to the seventh factor. So, you need the eighth factor. So, you cannot say you only want to practice pure vipassana, you don't want the jhanas. Because if you do that, then you are practicing seven factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, not eight. So, it must be very clear. The seventh factor and the eighth factor are completely different. The seventh factor is vipassana, the eighth factor is samatha. So you need both samatha and vipassana. And that's why in the one of the suttas we read earlier, the Buddha says there are 5 conditions that lead to the disappearance of the true Dhamma. And one of them is no respect for samadhi, no respect for the jhanas, saying that it is not necessary. Just like some monks nowadays, they say jhana is not necessary, pure vipassana is enough. The Buddha gave a warning that this type of teaching will lead to the disappearance of the true Dhamma. Because in the suttas, the Buddha says that the jhanas are the footprints of the Buddha. So if you want to follow the Buddha's steps to enlightenment, you must follow his footprints, namely attain the jhanas. So that's enough what I want to say about this Sati and Satipatthana. Okay, tonight we come to the last 3 suttas. I'm going to talk on the Satipatthana Samyutta. Sutta 47.35, that's on page 1657. That's Savatthi. The Buddha said, monks, a monk should dwell collected and mindful or clearly aware. This is our instruction to you. And how monks is a monk collected or recollected? Here monks, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. It is in this way, monks, that a monk is collected, satto, which means having sati. And how monks does a monk exercise clear awareness, sampajano? Here monks, for a monk, feelings are understood as they arise, understood as they remain present, understood as they pass away. Thoughts are understood as they arise, understood as they remain, understood as they pass away. Perceptions are understood as they arise, understood as they remain present, understood as they pass away. It is in this way, monks, that a monk exercises clear awareness. Monks, a monk should dwell collected and clearly aware or mindful. This is our instruction to you. That's the end of the sutta. So in this sutta, it's slightly different from a previous sutta we read, which explain these same 2 things, sati and sampajanya. The sati part, the top part, is exactly the same as in the previous sutta. But the bottom part about sampajanya, mindfulness or clear awareness, is slightly different. In the previous sutta, the Buddha talked about mindfulness of our bodily actions. But here, The Buddha says that sampajanya can also mean mindfulness of our feelings, our thoughts and our perceptions. So in other words, it is mindfulness of our feelings and our mind. So here there's an overlap, because in the practice of sati, we are also supposed to be aware when our feelings change, when our thoughts change, when our perceptions change and all that. So when you are aware, then you can understand yourself better. For example, when certain feelings arise, you don't try not to react. You know that they are impermanent. The Buddha gave a simile of feelings like raindrops falling on the pond. When the raindrops fall on the pond, on the surface of the pond, a bubble appears, and in a short while it breaks up. And then another drop of water or raindrop falls on the pond, another bubble appears, and it breaks. So in the same way, our six sense bases, these sense objects impinge on our six sense bases, like sights impinge on the eye, sounds impinge on the ear, etc. In the same way, a feeling arises, and then it doesn't last very long. It disappears. But it continues to be there if you think about it. For example, somebody says something nasty to you, and unpleasant feeling arises. And then you start thinking about it, then the unpleasant feeling persists. So that's why the Buddha says we have to be careful. That's why we want to keep an eye on our feelings and keep an eye on our thoughts. So if certain thoughts arise, then we have to try to understand what is the motive behind the thoughts. What is the thought motivated by? Is it ego? Is it motivated by anger? Then if it is, then you know that you have an unwholesome state of mind, and you try to discard it. So this mindfulness of the feelings and of the mind is quite important. So it is also stated to be connected with sati and also to be connected with sampajanya, mindfulness. The next sutta is 47.40. The Buddha said, "Monks, I will teach you the intense states of recollection and the development of the intense states of recollection, and the way leading to the development of the intense states of recollection." Listen to that. And what monks is Satipatthana, intense state of recollection. Here monks, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma. This is called the Satipatthana, intense state of recollection. And what monks is the development of the intense state of recollection. Here monks, a monk dwells contemplating the nature of origination or arising in the body. He dwells contemplating the nature of vanishing or ceasing in the body. He dwells contemplating the nature of origination and vanishing in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, collected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Similarly, he dwells contemplating the nature of origination and vanishing in feelings, in mind, in Dhamma. This is called the development of the intense state of recollection. And what monks is the way leading to the development of the intense state of recollection. It is this noble eightfold path, that is right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, etc. This is called the way leading to the development of the establishment of intense to the development of the intense state of recollection. It's the end of the sutta. So here, the second part, that the development of Satipatthana means contemplating the arising and the ceasing factors in the body, feelings, mind and Dhamma. What is the conditions for the arising of the four objects of Satipatthana? What is the conditions for the ceasing of the four objects of Satipatthana? We know from previous suttas that the body subsists on nutriment, on food. So the arising of the body also is stated in the Buddha by the Buddha that the body arises because of the coming together of mother and father, and mother is in the right season, and then there's a thing called Gandhabba waiting to be reborn, and then he enters the womb. And then after that, he can only continue to survive if the food nutriment he gets. Then the nature of ceasing of the body can be like there's no more nutriment. So for the food and for the body, then the body will cease, will die. Because there are other factors also. And then similarly for feelings, was mentioned before, that feelings arises because of contact at the six sense basis. So if there's no contact, there is no arising of feelings, and feelings vanish when there's no more contact. And then mind depends on perception and feeling. When there is perception and feeling, then there is consciousness, and the mind starts working. So when there's no perception and feeling, the mind also will cease. And Dhamma is, I forgot already what was the conditions for the arising of the Dhamma and the ceasing of the Dhamma, but we can refer to the earlier sutta. So, the way leading to the development of the Satipatthana as a noble eightfold path. The last sutta I'm going to read is 47.42 on the Satipatthana. Monks, I will teach you the origination and the passing away of the four Satipatthanas. Listen to that. And what monks is the origination of the body. With the origination of nutriment, there is the origination of body. With the cessation of nutriment, there is the passing away of the body. This one I think you can understand. The body subsists on nutriment, depends on nutriment, namely food. With the origination of contact, there is the origination of feeling. With the cessation of contact, there is the passing away of feeling. So contact at the sixth sense basis gives rise to feelings. When there's no contact, there's no arising of feelings. With the origination of name and form, there is the origination of mind. Here, with the cessation of name and form, there is a passing away of mind. Here, mind should mean vijnana, because nama rupa arises with vijnana. When vijnana ceases, then nama rupa also ceases. Now vijnana also comes along with perception and feeling, because earlier we read one sutta where the Buddha says there is no coming and going of consciousness without the other factors of the five aggregates. The five aggregates, they come together. Body, feeling, perception, volition and consciousness. So when you have nama rupa arises because there is vijnana, and when there is vijnana, of course it means that there is the other components of the mind, feeling and perception, etc. So when the mind ceases, nama rupa also ceases. Then the fourth one, with the origination of attention, there is the origination of Dhamma. With the cessation of attention, there is a passing away of Dhamma. There is Dhamma only when we pay attention to the Dhamma. Can be said to the Buddha's teachings, can be said to be the truth, reality.